What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets. Hope everybody had an excellent week. It's raining again in New Jersey, so what else is new? Thank you to everybody that's been checking out the live streams. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all the guests as well. Connor Rogers, Ryan with Jets Talk 24/7, Gunny. Obviously, I do the weekly thing with Jet Central. Got Joe Blue up Monday night, so I'm trying my best to get a lot of draft coverage in there. My schedule has been absolutely ridiculous. So the draft is what? Thursday night. And right now, the first thing everybody was like, what were your thoughts on the Joe Douglas press conference? And my thoughts were, I don't have any. Right now is the ultimate smokescreen season where general managers are literally paid to lie to you because they're not going to reveal their hand whatsoever. Agents are leaking stories. Teams are leaking stories. I don't believe a word I see. It just comes down to draft night. And the more I think about things, and I'm not like a mock draft expert, I'm not a college football expert, I just check out players, do my fair share of research and a form opinion. And the more I think about things, I think the Jets should trade up. I think they should trade up for a particular player. But let me preface this video by saying this. I know the reaction right off the bat, and I'm going to say, listen, I have an enormous amount of respect for the need for offensive line help. I think Joe Douglas has done a very good job. Trading for Morgan Moses caught us all off guard. Morgan Moses coming off a pec injury, AVT coming off an injury, Tyron Smith, where you're hoping to get 12 or 13 good games out of him. There's a lot of uncertainty there, but they are solid players that, if healthy, the Jets will have a solid offensive line. I also think that the Jets, you're developing Carter Warren, who missed most of the offseason last year due to injury, who's developing, and he has a first NFL offseason. You got Max Mitchell. You can also sign Connor McGovern. You could also sign David Bakhtiari. You could also get a lineman in the later rounds and actually coach them up and develop them. While I understand the first round is like you're getting the best value, at some point the general manager has to do a very good job of getting good value in the later rounds, and that's what Joe Douglas has to do in this situation, where fourth round, get a guy that can compete, be like a quality backup. Because if you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, now the thing last year was just get rid of the football quickly. Do the same thing this year. All your offensive line has to do is hold the fort. Give him a few seconds to get rid of the football. So you do that. You establish a running game. So in terms of the offensive line, in the fourth round, get a solid guy that can just compete and in a pinch can play and hold his own. That's all I'm looking for here. Then it goes down. Then it falls on Keith Carter, Hackett, and Saleh to get these guys on the same page and play quality football. With that being said, this team desperately needs legitimate game-breaking talent. Now, I respect what Mike Williams brings to the table. I also have concerns as when he's actually going to be available to practice, when he's going to be available to play, and then when he's available to play at a very high level. Is that week 1? Is that week 4? Is that week 6? When is that? Because then I have the concern of if Garrett Wilson gets banged up, what are we doing? Also, if you want to look at maximizing Aaron Rodgers the next 2 years, assuming he's playing 2 years, you want the best talent on the field around him for the next 2 years. For me, that means add game-breaking talent, that means wide receiver, and that means trading up to get one of them. Now, the question will be twofold. How far do you want to go up, and what player do you want to get? And then the third question is, what's your compensation? To me, the draft starts with the Cardinals, where at the number 4 pick, I think a lot of teams are going to try to trade up to get a quarterback. If the Cardinals go Marvin Harrison Jr. there, which they should, then what do you do? Because the Chargers and Giants, the next two, right? Chargers and Giants both need quarterbacks. So that's where things get interesting. You have a feeling the Chargers are going to trade back. The Giants may take a quarterback. But I think that's where you start looking up and saying, okay, if Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board, who is the next best receiver? And for me, it's Neighbors. That's like every evaluation I've seen, all the research I've done, it's like Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, a little drop down, Odunze, and then you go from there with the other guy, Brian Thomas Jr. Sorry, I keep mixing up names. So to me, it's like I want the best of the best. I want legitimate guys that can break man coverage, can play in the slot, can play deep. That's like, paired up with Garrett Wilson. This is a tandem that will create absolute nightmares for opposing defenses. When was the last time the Jets really had that? Decker and Marshall? And it's like keeping up with the speed, the rest of the game. Like if you want to have this dynamic Jets offense and take pressure off Aaron Rodgers a little bit, that's how you do it. So in terms of trading up, you look at the Falcons, the Bears, they could both want defensive players. So if you trade up to 7 or 8, the 8 or 9, you go up to 7 with the Titans, you're only going up 2 spots, 3 spots. The compensation won't be crazy. And in terms of compensation, I'm offering next year's stuff. Now, I understand I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't care. A second round pick next year, I'll worry about that next year. I want this guy on the field this year to make this team as best as possible in a win now year. So if you tell me I got to give up a second round pick and whatever, a fourth rounder this year and something else to move up, sign me up. I'll do that. I have no problem doing that to get game-breaking talent. That's the key for this. You want to be able to compete with all the high-flying offenses in the AFC, especially when you're supporting, when you have this great defense. That, to me, is a recipe for legitimately making a run at the AFC East, legitimately making a run deep in the playoffs and going from there. And then you have your contingency because, like I said earlier, if Garrett Wilson goes down, what are we going to do? Like the offensive line, you have your backup plan with McGovern and Bakhtiari and say Carter Warren and whoever was assigned. With wide receivers, there's going to probably be a pretty big drop-off. I mean, as of this video, I'm not sure if Hunter Renfro's signed yet. I know Boyd's out there and Sauce is hanging out with Beckham. Those are all cool things, but it's like they're like 1 year fixes. You get Neighbors, that's fine. Then you're a guy for the next 4 or 5 years. The next thing is, would you trade for Odunze? And that's the interesting one where I'm like, you know what? Where is it at? If say Neighbors goes where, if he goes at whatever to the Giants at 6, then the receiver could actually fall to you to 10. I wouldn't trip. I think you let him fall to you at 10. If that doesn't happen, then say he goes before, then at 10 you got an interesting choice because the playmaker thing is still in effect where you have Bowers sitting there where you could consider him a wide receiver based on his size. Or do you say, you know what, you at 10 you trade back, say you go back to the Colts at 15 or wherever else, and then you get Brian Thomas Jr. there, another guy with ridiculous talent. But to me, as much as I appreciate the need for offensive line help, it's wide receiver. And I know the other answer is, well, how about if you go offensive line at pick 10, or you trade back, you get somebody and you trade up in the second round to get a wide receiver. For me, I want the top of the top. And to me, once you get into the third round, fourth round, you respect the talent, or you trade up in the second round, you respect the talent, but it's like, all right, it's a step below. So I'm looking for the best of the best here, getting kind of greedy, getting kind of selfish. And this is my little world. I know a lot of draft experts will dispute this and say I'm crazy and these players aren't worth it. I'm just tired of seeing a team that can't score points. And I'm tired of, I'm not tired, I have legitimate concerns about how the Jets wide receiver room is currently constructed with an unknown Mike Williams. Lazard, they're probably trying to trade him and can't. Brownlee and Gibson, completely unproven. Not unproven, but you're not really sure what they are. So bring in, just give it a complete upgrade to the room. So let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later.